If you're catching this video when it goes up, I'm probably live right now. Twitch.tv/killer. Log in, dude. The most obvious advice is also the advice that no one wants to hear, which is that killing monsters and playing a lot is going to be really important. Over the last 5 days or so, I've accumulated 800,000 kills and about 3.5 days played. Not many people want to hear that though, and so we're going to go into some of the actual strategies. I decided early on that I wanted to go with Wandering Path. This allows me to not invest too much into one mechanic, and allows me to drop a lot of maps, which I decided to sell. Since I didn't want to do anything like infinite heisting or any other sort of early game cheese, I didn't want to do Chaos Recipe for example, I wanted to sell maps. So I went with a 100% chance of adjacent maps to drop, which was good. I went with Exarch Altars, which was also good. That gave me a lot of things like quantity, monsters drop Chaos Orbs, those kind of things. I got the quality nodes, that was also great. More items dropping is amazing. And we got a little bit of duplication, but not very much, just travel nodes. After that, I got Delirium, which was kind of bad at the very start, because of the fact that nobody's running Deli Orbs, 60% Deli maps, like 10 hours into the league, you know. After that, went Harvest, which is actually really good. A lot of the juice sold really well, and if I wanted to make more money, easily 40% more money, I could have crafted on some good base types and just printed some very, very good day 1 gear. Decided not to do that though, just got a little too lazy. And lastly, I picked up Expedition, which I thought would be kind of bad, but with this keystone right here, which makes it so you have 1 explosion, it's actually a lot of fun. And it turns out that Expedition makes a lot of money, so that was also really good. Now that it's a few days in, Delirium's really good. I honestly don't regret my choice to take Delirium, just because that's what I enjoy, and my opinion is that you shouldn't follow my Atlas strategy to the T. You should follow the strategy that you feel like is best for you. Since I've got my 4 stone though, which I was able to get just by playing RF, just the Pox build, which I'll talk about more later, I dropped the 100% chance for adjacent maps to drop, and I went with more duplication chance. Going over the map strategy, I went with running Crimson Temples, just for the chance of dropping apothecaries. I like running the map, and the adjacent map is City Square. It doesn't matter what map you run or what adjacent map you run, but typically you'll choose a map. So like for example, you'll choose like Shore, and then if you favorite Shore a bunch, you'll have to favorite one of the adjacent maps, which is like Pen. Don't take that literally. Next up, I wanted to talk about leveling gems. So obviously, most people know that you can level up gems in your offhand, but for some reason, I see absolutely no one leveling with a 6-socket bow with a Maloney's. You can actually put a quality of socketed gems on it, and that allows you to like level up inlanes or empowers. I got mine 6 white socket, so that makes it easier to slot in whatever gems I want. Inlane empowers are a little bit too expensive, so I'm not using those. Also, I put an incubator on this, but incubators don't work on offhand items. That was just a misclick. And then Maloney's allows you to level up 9 gems instead of 6 normally. As far as leveling up gems and figuring out which gems to level, you might be tempted to check PoE Ninja and see like, oh, Lightning Arrow is really popular. But if you look, Impending Doom as a 2120 is 74 chaos. If you look at something like Lightning Arrow, it's 10 chaos. If you look around a bit though at some meta builds, you'll find some diamonds in the rough, and you'll find that like, for example, things like Righteous Fire, which is also super popular, is worth a divine. If you don't want to do any of those, you can level up auras. Auras do not care about quality, generally speaking. A 2120 Anger isn't going to sell for much more than a 21 Anger. And so if you just want to like not GCP flip anything, these are really good margins as well. If you don't know what GCP flipping is, when a gem hits level 20, you can sell it with the Gem Cutter's Prism. It'll give you back the same gem at level 1, but it's 20 quality. This is a really good way of flipping all of your gems to get 20 quality for them early on in the league. So for example, that's how I got all these support gems to 20 quality without having to spend money on that. Next up, I wanted to talk about the dunk tab strategy. So if you're running a map, and let's say that you just pick up a bunch of garbage in the map, you know, maybe like a couple chaos too. When you exit the map, so you go in the map, you exit it, you go to your stash, you dump everything immediately. Because of the way that stash affinities work, it'll automatically go to your currency tab, to your divination tab. I don't like using the unique tab really, but divination tab, essence tab, etc. This allows you to be really fast because after that you could just put in a new map and go right away. Going on about the dump tab strategy, at some point I stopped looking at individual rings and individual jewels. So like for example, this is not a very good jewel to be honest. Actually it's not bad. But later on I get really bored and I don't want to look at items, so I just throw them into a massive dump tab and I price the tab at 40 chaos. If I get whispered for anything immediately, it means that the price is too low and that people are whooping my item. If I get a lot of PMs, I obviously know that it's going to be quite a bit more. And if I get no PMs, then I know the item is priced not low enough. And I feel like this concept is extremely important because I don't like being asked what price or, you know, to price check items. Because my opinion on it is to always start your prices at very high and then lower them over time. And eventually, after pricing enough items, you'll get a view of what that is. But new players are way too worried about selling off their items for the right value. And honestly, you don't want to be that guy that's like, oh no, I almost sold an item in the game. Because there's nothing worse than going and trying to buy an item and someone immediately lists the price for 20 times more and you know you're the only one looking for it. Anyways, the reason why we do this tab is that a lot of these items, even though they're garbage, sometimes they just meet somebody's stat requirements. Sometimes it's just 3 a.m. in the US and somebody needs specifically 55 strength and 26 int, and they're willing to take whatever they can get. And once this tab gets lowered to, I don't know, like 15 chaos, 8 chaos, whatever, that's the amulet they're gonna want. If anybody messages you immediately, it's worth taking a look over. So like, for example, somebody messaged me for this, which is life, damage over time, and fire dot multi, which if we price right now is worth about 90 chaos instead. And so the only time where I'll actually scum someone out is right when I first list the tab. It's worth taking a look at. Later on, I don't really care. I just want to get rid of items. And so if I list this at 15C and somebody messages me for an item because, you know, it's been listed for a few hours, then I'll just take it out and I'll just sell it. Even if I think that I can craft like minus mana and sell it for like a divine. I don't really care. It's worth the convenience of not having to look at every single item. I don't do this on day one just because, you know, you can obviously find a lot of upgrades for yourself and you can sell a lot of the items there. Next up, I wanted to talk about using sextants. I permanently use sextants as soon as I got access to my 2 stones. What happens on day one is that people are starting to run their yellow maps and they're dropping sextants, their lower tier maps before they have watchstones, and everybody wants chaos, so they're gonna sell their sextants for chaos. And the thing is I was buying sextants for 1 single chaos each, and if you use these, you're guaranteed to make your money back. So this is like convert when kill, gloom shrine. This is fine because it's an additional map, and this is barrels. Each one of these will add up to give me more than 1 chaos, and if I land any good sextants, like for example this right here, Conqueror maps, this is going to be at least 90 chaos. Which you can talk to Kirak, grab a compass, and store a map if you really wanted to sell it. Now this one is obviously not going to sell that much, so it doesn't matter. Next up, I wanted to talk about using scarabs. I don't like using scarabs. Scarabs are annoying to sell. They are annoying to buy. I just kind of want to sell them in bulk later on when these things appreciate in value. For example, like Legion scarabs are going to be super popular very soon. And these things will sell very, very well later on into the league. Maybe not like a few weeks, but I'm talking like just a few more days from now. Another thing is that I always make people come to me. I never, ever go to currency or to the currency side and go, okay, I want to turn my divines into chaos. Okay, well, hang on. Because you know what this leads you to do? Is you message this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. You know, you can go all the way down this list and not find a single person to buy from you. Instead, what I do is I use Awaken PoE trade macro, which is this tool, by the way. And I just say, okay, I'm going to list mine towards, like, the bottom of this listing over here. And so I'm going to say, like, okay, my divines are worth 174C for my 1 divine. And then I just make people come to me. Now, what'll happen is that people that are actually trying to convert the currency will go to the trade site. They'll message people all the way down, and what you'll find is you'll get an extra, you know, 2-3 chaos per, like, divine trade, because, you know, people get lazy, or just the listings are wrong, and this will allow you to get the best bang for your buck. You know, making an extra few divines off of that is super important. I guess the only other thing I really want to talk about was using Awaken PoE trade macro, which I kind of touched on just briefly. If you're having difficulties with listing your items, you can honestly just, you know, use Awaken PoE trade macro, which is just Control D, and that allows you to hold down Control, and you can see different mods like this, and we can see that if, you know, accuracy. Now, obviously, like I said, I don't know what the price of this item is, and so if it's not selling, people don't want it, so I'm just going to lower it by half a divine. The last thing about Awaken PoE trade is that you can click on this down here to see the conversion rate of divines to chaos. Whew. Next, I'm just going to rant about my journey. I bought the 6 link for about 15 chaos early, and then I essence spammed it a bit. I had a pretty mediocre one, so I bought another 6 link, and then I essence spammed that, and I just sold the worst one. I got my 2 stones around the 12-hour mark, and I easily got the 4 stones just by playing Fox's RF. I did need to get a horror helm, which I crafted myself. Pretty much almost all of my gear, for the most part, is crafted myself. I like how cheap essences are, because essences are obviously super available. on the early game Atlas strategies. Everybody's running essences, so I was able to buy horror essences for like 6 chaos each. And I bought the bases for about 40c, and I don't think I have any anymore, but I sold a whole bunch of helmets that were like work in progress helmets for, you know, multiple divines. I don't like profit crafting, but I like crafting for my own build, and if I have something that's sellable, then I just decide to offload that. See, here's a divine trade. Let me go ahead and take this down. See, if you start getting a bunch of messages, you just take this up, and now we're gonna make more chaos on the trade. Yeah, when you start getting spam message like this, it means that you need to list your price a little bit higher. Lastly, I just wanted to talk about the early economy. So early economy, people don't want to spend the divines, but they have huge buying power. So for example, oh wait, no, is this guy ever gonna come to my hideout? So for example, this +1 spell skills fire dot multi scepter that I bought, this is worth 1 divine. 1 divine's worth like, I don't know, 15 chaos or so. And same with like this amulet, for example, as it gave me +1 fire, some life, and honestly this amulet's pretty trash, but it gave me the dexterity and strength that I needed early on in my build. Later on I was able to invest more, and it turns out that dying is pretty nice when you are playing in softcore, and so I prioritize living quite a lot. So things like getting block chance and max block is super important for me. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. I'm streaming every day on twitch.tv/tactickiller. I didn't mean for this to be a 12-minute video, but hope that all helps. See you guys. Log in, dude.